Declan Rice, 93rd minute at the Emirates. Arsenal locked in a tense battle against Manchester United. The crowd holds its breath as Rice smashes a thunderous strike into the net, sealing victory. But was it just brilliance or part of Mikel Arteta's hidden plan? A secret weapon Arsenal's been quietly perfecting. When Declan Rice first arrived at Arsenal in the summer of 2023, the headlines screamed about his £105 million price tag.
Yes, that news comes after Arsenal have made a third bid of £105 million for the West Ham captain, and talks will continue today over the structure of the deal.
Well, if the offer is accepted, Rice would become the second most expensive English player of all time behind Jude Bellingham.
The media called it a gamble, a record-breaking risk for a club still searching for Premier League glory. Yet, 2 seasons later, that same signing has turned into Arsenal's most important tactical evolution, one that might finally bring silverware back to North London. Rice didn't come to just fill Thomas Partey's role or to be a defensive shield. Arteta saw something deeper, a player with the discipline of a destroyer, the intelligence of a playmaker, and the power to change the entire rhythm of a match. And that's exactly what has happened in 2025. In recent months, Arsenal fans have noticed something strange. When the Gunners are in trouble, it's always Rice stepping up, scoring a late equaliser, launching a counter-attack, intercepting a ball that seemed impossible to reach. Against Manchester City, he dominated the midfield against Rodri. In the Champions League quarter-final versus Real Madrid, he was everywhere, recovering, driving forward, even assisting in the crucial second goal. What's the secret behind this transformation? It's not just form, it's design. Arteta has turned Rice into a hybrid midfielder, a weapon that can switch between roles within a single phase of play. One moment he's shielding the defense, the next he's bursting into the box like a striker. But here's the question. How did Arteta unlock this version of Declan Rice, and why is he calling him the heartbeat of Arsenal's system behind closed doors? When Arsenal announced Declan Rice's arrival in July 2023, the football world reacted with a mix of awe and skepticism. A £105 million deal, the most expensive British transfer at the time, placed a heavy crown on his shoulders. Many asked the same question: could one player really justify such a price tag? But Mikel Arteta wasn't thinking about money. He was thinking about transformation. In his very first press conference after the signing, Arteta hinted at something few understood back then. He said, "We're not just signing a midfielder, we're signing control." Those words, now etched into Arsenal folklore, defined everything that followed. Rice's early months at Arsenal were about adaptation. The Premier League wasn't new to him, but Arteta's positional demands were. Under West Ham, Rice was the anchor, a pure defensive midfielder who thrived on breaking up play and distributing safely. But Arsenal's system asked for more. Here, he wasn't just protecting space, he was creating it. He was asked to dictate tempo, push the line, and even make late surges into the opposition box. By the end of his debut season, Rice's numbers told the story. 7 goals, 6 assists, and a league-leading count of interceptions. Over 2,000 successful passes, ranking among the Premier League's most progressive midfielders. And more crucially, a newfound ability to dominate possession under pressure. Arteta's genius lay in pairing Rice with the right partners. Martin Ødegaard's vision, Ben White's overlapping width, and William Saliba's calmness gave Rice the freedom to evolve. By 2025, that evolution was complete. He wasn't just Arsenal's record signing, he was their midfield pivot, the invisible hinge that connected defense and attack. Every phase of Arsenal's build-up flowed through him, every pressing trigger started with his positioning. But behind this evolution lies a deeper mystery. Arteta's private training sessions reportedly included a new tactical layer, a plan designed to weaponize Rice's instincts beyond midfield. What was this secret plan, and how did it change the way Arsenal attacked? Every great team evolves when the right player finds his freedom. And for Arsenal, that freedom belonged to Declan Rice. By early 2025, fans and pundits began noticing something subtle yet revolutionary. Rice wasn't just sitting deep as a number 6 anymore. He was driving forward, carrying the ball past the halfway line, and suddenly arriving in the box like a late arriving assassin. Mikel Arteta had done something daring. He'd quietly rewritten Rice's role from a defensive anchor to a hybrid number, 6-0, 8, a midfielder who could destroy, dictate and deliver all in one motion. The transformation began during Arsenal's tactical overhaul at the start of the 2024 to 2025 season, with Thomas Partey's injuries forcing adjustments and Kai Havertz struggling for consistency. Arteta gave Rice more attacking license. It was a gamble, but it worked. In matches against Manchester United and Liverpool, Rice's ability to carry the ball 20 to 30 yards under pressure opened new dimensions in Arsenal's attack. His confidence grew, and so did his influence. Suddenly, the man once known for tackles was now making key passes, switching play, and even arriving for headers inside the penalty box. In training, Arteta and assistant Carlos Cuesta reportedly drilled him in transitional sequences, how to read turnovers, when to push forward, and how to strike from the edge of the box. It wasn't long before those lessons bore fruit. Against Tottenham, Rice scored a thunderous goal from distance, not by chance, but by tactical design. The numbers confirmed what the eyes saw. Rice's progressive carries per 90 minutes jumped by nearly 40% compared to his West Ham days. His XG contribution rose dramatically. But most importantly, Arsenal's shape changed around him. Zinchenko's inverted movements freed Rice to advance, Ødegaard drifted right to cover, and suddenly the midfield triangle became fluid, unpredictable, and lethal. This was no longer the old Arsenal struggling to find rhythm. This was a side built around controlled chaos, orchestrated by Declan Rice. But the real turning point came not in the Premier League, it came under the European lights, where Rice unveiled the next level of his evolution. What exactly happened that night in Madrid that made even his critics call him the most complete midfielder in Europe? Madrid. The air heavy with history, the Bernabeu roaring under the floodlights. It was the kind of night where legends are made, or exposed. Arsenal had arrived for their Champions League quarter-final with doubt hanging over them. Could they handle Real Madrid's midfield of Jude Bellingham, Federico Valverde, and Toni Kroos? For Mikel Arteta, it was more than a match. It was a test of evolution, and at the heart of that test stood Declan Rice. From the first whistle, something felt different. Rice wasn't just protecting the backline, he was dictating the entire tempo. When Bellingham pressed, Rice pivoted away. When Modric tried to slip into space, Rice was already there, intercepting with the timing of a veteran and the energy of a fighter. But then came the moment that stunned Europe. In the 62nd minute, Arsenal broke forward. Ødegaard slipped the ball wide to Saka, who cut it back across the box. Rice arrived late, ghosting past Madrid's defense and drilled a low shot into the bottom corner. Silence, then disbelief, then thunder. The Englishman had scored in the Bernabeu. Arsenal led 2-0, and Rice stood there, arms wide, the calmest man in Spain. That night, pundits ran out of superlatives. Rio Ferdinand called him a midfielder who reads football like a chess grandmaster. Jamie Carragher described his performance as the modern blueprint of control. And even rival fans admitted this was not the same Declan Rice they'd seen at West Ham, but this wasn't an isolated moment. A few weeks later, in a critical clash against Manchester City, Rice delivered again. With Arsenal clinging to a narrow 1-0 lead, he intercepted a Rodri pass, carried the ball 40 yards and slipped in Gabriel Jesus for the goal that sealed the win. 2 matches, 2 defining moments, 1 undeniable truth. Declan Rice was now the difference between Arsenal and everyone else. Still, one question lingered. What happens when the opposition begins planning specifically for him? Could even Declan Rice outthink the managers trying to shut him down? By the time the season reached its midpoint, Declan Rice wasn't just another midfielder. He was a tactical problem that every manager in Europe was desperate to solve. His dominance had become so pronounced that analysts across Sky Sports and The Athletic began referring to him as the disruptor, not for what he destroyed, but for how he forced others to rethink their entire game plan. Opponents began adapting. Pep Guardiola was one of the first to respond. When Manchester City met Arsenal again, Pep shifted his usual structure, dropping John Stones deeper into midfield to double-mark Rice. The goal was simple: deny him time, block his forward lanes, and prevent him from dictating Arsenal's rhythm. For the first 30 minutes, it worked. Rice was quieter, forced to play sideways passes, but then Arteta adjusted. Arteta, Rice's tactical architect, instructed Martin Ødegaard to drop slightly deeper, pulling Stones out of position. That single adjustment freed Rice, who began driving forward once again, breaking City's press from the inside. By full time, Arsenal had edged the game 2-1, and Guardiola could only shake his head, later admitting he reads the game like few others. You close one door, and he finds another against Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp tried something different, pressing Rice with a rotating triangle of Szoboszlai, McAllister and Jones, hoping to overwhelm him. But Rice, calm as ever, played around the chaos. He drew them in, released quick vertical passes to Saka and Martinelli, and turned Liverpool's pressing into Arsenal's counterattacks. The more they tried to trap him, the more dangerous Arsenal became. Even in the Champions League semi-finals against Bayern Munich, Rice's tactical maturity stood out. When Bayern targeted Arsenal's left flank, he adjusted mid-game, doubling as an auxiliary centre-back alongside Gabriel Magalhaes. His defensive awareness combined with composure under pressure made Arsenal's transitions nearly flawless. At this stage, every manager knew stopping Rice was key, but none had succeeded. His influence extended beyond numbers. It was psychological. Teams began playing differently just because he was there. Still, as the season intensified, whispers began to emerge: fatigue, over-reliance, and whispers of burnout. Could Arsenal's secret weapon be running on fumes at the very moment they needed him most? Even a secret weapon needs an army to fire. Declan Rice may be Arsenal's heartbeat, but the rhythm around him is orchestrated by a carefully constructed ensemble, a midfield machine built by Mikel Arteta, piece by piece. And in 2025, that machine has never been more synchronized. At the center of it all stands Martin Ødegaard, Arsenal's captain and creative architect. While Rice provides the power and control, Ødegaard delivers the imagination. Their chemistry has become one of the most dangerous duos in European football. When Rice wins the ball, Ødegaard is already scanning. One look, one pass, and Arsenal's front three explode into motion. The Norwegian's ability to occupy spaces between the lines gives Rice freedom to advance, knowing there's always structure behind him. Then came Martin Zubimendi, Arsenal's January 2025 signing from Real Sociedad. Arteta had chased him for months, believing his tactical discipline could complement Rice's dynamism. Zubimendi's arrival changed everything. He allowed Rice to move further upfield, often covering defensively while Rice surged forward. The result? Arsenal's midfield suddenly became unpressable. When teams tried to crowd Rice, Zubimendi calmly distributed from the base, pulling opponents out of shape. Behind them, William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes provided the perfect safety net, while Oleksandr Zinchenko's inverted runs allowed Rice to drift into attacking pockets. Up front, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli thrived on Rice's vertical passing. Those sharp through balls that slice defenses open in seconds. In one unforgettable match against Newcastle United, the chemistry was on full display. Zubimendi anchored the base, Ødegaard directed traffic, and Rice moved like a conductor, switching sides, breaking lines, and even assisting Martinelli's opener. It wasn't just skill, it was orchestration at its purest. But beneath the smooth coordination lies a fragile truth. Arsenal's entire system now revolves around Rice's availability. When he's missing, the tempo drops, the control fades, the confidence wanes, and with more competitions than ever, the question grows louder: can Arsenal afford to lean this heavily on one man? What happens if their secret weapon is suddenly taken out of the equation? For all the brilliance and balance that Declan Rice brings, every weapon has its limits, and Arsenal learned that the hard way. Midway through the 2025 season, whispers began circulating through the training ground at London Colney. Rice was managing fatigue. After months of relentless fixtures, Premier League battles, Champions League wars, and England duty, even his superhuman engine began to flicker. In early February, during a tense away match against Aston Villa, Rice pulled up briefly, clutching his hamstring. It wasn't serious, but it was a warning. Arteta immediately substituted him, refusing to take chances. For Arsenal fans, it was a moment of collective breath-holding because they'd seen what happens when he's absent. Without Rice, Arsenal's midfield looked ordinary. Zubimendi was intelligent, but lacked Rice's physical dominance. Ødegaard's creativity suffered without that solid anchor behind him. Even the defense felt more exposed. Arsenal dropped points in back-to-back fixtures, and suddenly the whispers turned into worry. Had the team become too dependent on one man? Arteta, ever the strategist, tried solutions, rotating Jorginho in deeper roles, experimenting with Havertz as a false 8, but none recreated Rice's dual impact. The manager even admitted post-match, "Declan gives us something intangible, confidence. When he's on the pitch, we feel in control." But injuries weren't the only concern. Fatigue brought risk, but overexposure brought predictability. Opponents began studying Rice's movements obsessively. They learned his passing triggers, his preferred zones, even his press resistance patterns. In one match against Brighton, they set traps, cutting off his forward lanes and forcing him sideways. Arsenal scraped a win, but it was a warning. The world was learning how to read their secret weapon. And then came the rumour mill. Reports from The Guardian and ESPN hinted that Europe's giants, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and even Manchester City, were monitoring Rice's situation. Arsenal remained calm, but fans couldn't ignore the headlines. Could Declan Rice become too big even for Arsenal? So now the question becomes bigger than football. How do you protect your greatest strength from becoming your biggest vulnerability? Every great football story has a heartbeat, a player whose energy, presence, and mentality define an era. For Arsenal, that heartbeat is Declan Rice. As the 2025 season enters its decisive stretch, one truth has become impossible to deny. Arsenal's destiny, whether it ends in glory or heartbreak, will rise and fall with him. From the first whistle of his debut to his latest heroic performance, Rice has become more than just a midfielder. He's become Arteta's blueprint, the living embodiment of everything the Spanish manager wants his football to be: intelligent, disciplined, adaptable, and fearless. Rice represents control, but not the static kind. It's dynamic control, the ability to shape chaos into order. Tactically, Rice has elevated Arsenal into a new dimension. His presence allows Ødegaard to push higher, lets Saka stay wide and direct, and gives defenders the confidence to play riskier, braver passes. When Rice plays, Arsenal's structure feels alive, like a single organism pulsing with precision. When he doesn't, everything slows, like a machine missing its core component. But what makes Rice truly Arsenal's secret weapon isn't just what he does with the ball, it's his mindset. Teammates describe him as unshakable. He studies opponents obsessively, reviewing footage late into the night, often texting analysts about positional tweaks. Arteta trusts him not just as a player, but as an on-field extension of his tactical brain. In recent interviews, Rice himself has hinted at unfinished business. "We're close," he said, after Arsenal's Champions League semi-final, "but close isn't enough. I came here to win everything." His eyes said it all. He's not satisfied with progress, he's chasing legacy. And maybe that's what makes this story so compelling. Arsenal's evolution, their title hopes, their European dreams, all orbit around one man's shoulders. If Rice maintains his form, Arsenal could be on the verge of something historic. But if he falters, even slightly, the entire system trembles. So the question that hangs over North London isn't just about football, it's about fate. Can one man truly carry a club's destiny? Or will Arsenal's secret weapon become their most dangerous gamble yet? Declan Rice has become more than a signing. He's Arsenal's identity reborn. Under Mikel Arteta, his transformation from anchor to architect symbolizes a club rediscovering its soul. Whether Arsenal's future shines in silver or fades in heartbreak, one truth remains: every beat of their success begins with Rice. If you believe Declan Rice is the heartbeat of Arsenal's new era, drop a comment below. Do you think he can lead them to glory this season? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more untold football stories that keep you watching till the final whistle.